I want us to do a very, very quick analysis as to why a lot of partners complain. It is true that I have not brought a lot of partners on my interviews because sometimes it's difficult to bring them on hold. So I have tried to reach out to a number of them, but not many are available for an interview, but they share their insights with me. So there are people who will tell you that if you buy a car and give it to a driver, you will not make money. And some of them have very good reasons for that. And this is the video that I want us to analyze so that we can understand exactly under what circumstances will it cost you so much if you buy a car and put it into the Uber platform. So here we want to consider a case of a guy who bought a car at it was a Nissan Note. So it was a Nissan Note. The purchase price of that car was he bought it at 1.3 because it was this new shape. The new shape, I think it was the Nissan Note Sport. So he bought it at 1.3 M. Again, he deposited, he had a deposit of 350K. So the balance was 950,000, and he was supposed to make a repayment. A repayment plan was around 40K per month for 24 months. So this is a very, very critical example, and I'm not getting this out of my mind. This is a real partner who contacted me with these details, and he told me that it is a mistake that he did, because if you look at these numbers, I can tell you that this is a stressed partner. No matter what he does, I think this thing will have to give him a headache. And the car was very new. It was a KDQ, very new number plate, a car that should serve him for quite some time. But I want us to go through these numbers and understand where is the actual mistake in all this. Because ideally, if he gives this car to a driver, sorry, my pen is out of ink. So if he gives this car to a driver, the drivers normally for cars over 1,000 will not be happy if you ask them more than, let's say, 1,300 per day. So normally if you do 1,300 per day for 6 days times 4 weeks per month, then the owner of this car will get around 32,000. So I hope you can see what I'm writing. So 32K per month. And this is actually where the rubber meets the road. Because a lot of people, I came to realize that they don't do the maths until the rubber hits the road. So this gentleman was telling me that every month he has to add around 8K from his pocket, so that money can go towards the loan repayment. Because here you have seen, we are saying he's paying back 40,000 per month. And see, the car is getting him only 32K. You get my point? And out of the 42 the 40 he is needed, he only has 32. So he has to cough 8K from his pocket. And for him, I don't know what math he had really done, because, supplementing the 32K with 8K for 24 months is actually a big headache. But there are also a number of things that are not included in these calculations. And let me just use this to rub, and then we can proceed with the maths as we discuss. Because we are saying that this guy has to cough 8K from his pocket. So meaning that all the money he gets from the car, he sends it towards the loan repayment, and then he has to add 8,000 on top. Again, we have not added other things that this gentleman has to do for his car to remain on the road. So I said the service and the usual maintenance, you should set aside like 100K for your car. This is the service and maintenance, and this is per year. So he still has to cough 100K if he needs to buy tires, if he needs to do replacement of spark plugs. I'm not saying that this is constant, but for you to be safe, you have to envisage to spend 100K per year to take good care of your car, without being stingy. You have to, endeavor to give your car the best service so that it can also give the service back to you. Again, we have not spoken about insurance, which is around 50K. So that is the insurance. So, in as much as this car is giving this guy 32K, let me just write it correctly, 32K per month, the guy is still adding up into his pocket. And these are the type of partners that will give drivers a lot of headache. Actually, if you meet a partner like this one, I can tell you, and sorry to say this, he will ask you for anything between, let me just use my black pen. He will ask you between 1,500 to 1,800 per day. So these are the kind of partners that will ask drivers for these amounts of money. And then because of that pressure, you will find that those drivers will not be happy, when driving this type of cars. They will not have a good relationship with this partner, and the turnover of drivers for this vehicle will be very high, because I know it will be very easy for this type of drivers to come across another partner who is asking them for maybe 1,200 or even 1,100 per day, instead of these exorbitant amounts that sometimes they struggle to get. So what happens? What happens is that this gentleman will definitely be very stressed throughout, and he will not enjoy this business at all. And this is where I always advise people who are coming into this business. Make sure that if you are borrowing money to buy a car for Uber, always ensure these two key things. Make sure that, number one, the money that you receive, what you receive is bigger than what you repay. Okay? So a good situation for me would be whereby it's even much better for you to have a longer repayment period instead of getting shorter repayment periods, and then you overstretch yourself to a point whereby you are unable to even save anything from the business. So a situation for me that is perfect would be whereby, for instance, you are receiving the 32K, and then you repay around 22K. That is the amount you need to repay for your loan. You get my point? But again, if you stretch your loan term from 2 years to, let's say, 3 years, 36 months, then you will find that the 1.3 M here could be something that you pay back with a bigger interest, which is actually not very interesting for me. So the best way for you to guarantee that you repay 22,000 shillings without incurring too much interest on your loan is to make sure that your principal is small. By principal, what do I mean? The money that you are borrowing is not as much. And for that money not to be much, then there are two ways for that. You must make sure that you have saved significant amount of money, at least 70%, so that when you borrow, you only borrow like 30% of what you need. And then within a very short time of 18 months, you could complete that repayment. Secondly, you can opt for a cheaper car. I believe that this gentleman, of course, he had in mind probably that he would be using this car sometimes for his personal travels and other times for business. So probably that is why he went for this note. But I also imagine that with 1.3 M, or maybe with his deposit of 350K, he could have bought a smaller car that could costed him maybe 750,000. You know, with 750,000, if I put my principal here as like 750, let me just put 800k, you know, his repayment is actually 18,000, is 18k per month. So if you go for a cheaper vehicle, you make your life very, very easy. And at the end of the day, let's just be true to this business. It's a business of just delivering people from point A to point B. Any vehicle that can do that job, go for it. Go for the most affordable. So that what will happen in between, you will find that if that driver is giving you 32k, and then you are able to save yourself 14,000, you know, because you are repaying 18,000 and the driver is giving you 32. So you have a saving of 14k. From this saving, you are going to, you know, to spread some cost from here. You'll be able to pay the insurance. You will be able to pay the service and maintenance still from this 14,000 without you ever needing to get into your pocket to get more money to supplement this business. And let me tell you, this is how you like leave this business to self-sustain itself. What I tell people is that the moment I use the money I have to buy that car, and let me just give you the final parting advice here. What I'm telling you is that if you have, for instance, 50k savings, you get my point. If you have saved 350,000, make sure that whatever route that you take to get that car, it has to be self-sustaining. And what do I mean by self-sustaining? It simply means that you have to work backward. Don't work from the math whereby, you know, you already know what you'll be paying to the bank or to the circle or to the logbook financiers. Work from how much money will you get from the driver. It is 32k. Out of this 32k, you get my point. You have to pay the loan. You have to pay the loan. You have to pay the insurance. You have to pay for service and other things, and maybe even savings. You have to save still from here. Maybe say even 5,000 per month from here. And then working backward, you will go and say the maximum that I can afford to commit to loan repayment from the 32,000 that I get is, let's say, 15k. You get my point? Because for the rest, insurance and whatever, so it simply means that you will have 17,000 to spread on these other three things. You get my point? So meaning, if you have 15k for loan repayment, work backward. Which car can you get and repay and deposit 350,000 and repay 15k? Maybe if it's for 2 years, if I do 15 here, just a moment, 15,000 times, let's say if you pay by 24 months, then it simply means you will have paid 360,000 and then plus your deposit. So that means you need a car that is maximum 700,000. If you want to repay that 15k per month, the car that you are going for must be 700k maximum, so that you are able to pay 15,000 per month for a period of 24 months. I don't recommend anything beyond 24 months. If you think that you want to do 36, what I advise you to do is that look for a car, you know, become a driver for a partner. Then for the 24 months before you get your car on loan, intensify your savings so that your car, you will pay it only for 24 months. But I don't really recommend that you get yourself into a repayment of more than 24 months, because from that point you realize that, you know, the level of wear and tear for that car will not be very good by the time you finish the loan repayment, and also the the cost of your loan will be higher because of the longer repayment period. So that's my advice for today. So I hope you have learned something, and please reach out to me. I have dropped my number and my email in the description box. Someone will receive your call once you call, and then we can plan, how we can meet and support one another on how to invest in this business. It's just that for today. Goodbye.